Well, welcome back to my Ford Transit Mk8 Campervan Build, and this is going to be part 3 of the Recirculating shower sort of mini-series. The whole purpose of what I want to get through on this video is to get the shower tray into the bottom of the stud-work and to ply line all of the walls. I cut out all of the ply squares a few days ago, and hopefully I can just get those all into the room. After those are all mounted, I'm then going to waterproof them, and then I'm going to apply some PVC, some sort of hygienic wall PVC over the top. However, I have made myself a little bit of a task, because this isn't just a square box. It's got one little slope shelf, and it's got the sort of internal flare at the back where the filters are going to go. So it's made myself a little bit more complicated. Other things which have changed is I have now got rid of my coronavirus lockdown hair, and I have a short beard. So I will look a little bit different for these videos, but maybe by the end of the van the beard and the hair will have probably grown back. So let's get started. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get this ply box mounted. It is slightly angled, and the reason is because the van does lean in at this end of the vehicle, so the top is slightly narrower than the bottom, or it might be the other way around, I can't remember. And this is where the pump's going to go. Then this is made from 12mm, which is going to be quite thick, but I'm going to be mounting the filter system, which when that's full of water will actually have quite a bit of weight to it, so I wanted something with a bit of structure. The wood behind these, in the actual original flares, is only 5mm backing, so I'm going to be mounting this to the actual stud work itself. For that, I'm just going to be using a lot of these 35mm drywall screws, which is what I used for the floor to screw the ply down. And they're also self-tapping, so it should make my life a little bit easier as well. So this is going to be the bottom of this little cupboard. It's going to be steeply angled because it's not a cupboard, it's an alcove. That's where the pumps are going to go. So I want the idea that it's going to be open, so only water or splash, it's going to run straight off. This will be covered in PVC cladding at the end. So there's a great resource on YouTube of a YouTube channel called Sealant, who have done a recirculating shower system themselves. It's got loads of information, and my filtration system is going to be very similar to theirs. Their channel is actually where I got the inspiration and the idea for a recirculating shower, and then I've built sort of my own system with some similarities and dissimilarities from theirs. So similarities wise, I'm going to use a very similar pump system, filter system, sorry, of these 10-inch water filters. So these will sit here, and the water will come in through here, go through, well, there's going to be a spin down filter here as well, go through here, back out, and then back out, which will then go into the hot water tank. The reason I'm mounting these in here is they do need maintenance occasionally, where you just unscrew the canister and you would replace the filter. I haven't got the filters in at the minute, but the way I see it, being able to do it this way and having these based in this cupboard means any maintenance or any water runoff is just going to be in the bathroom wet room, so all the water runoff is just going to go into the shower tray and not anywhere like in the back of a cupboard where it could be awkward to reach. You are also going to be able to see the filters as well. Not everyone might not be the fan of that, but it's only me, and I think I'm going to quite like the view of it working, which should be quite interesting. So that's going to be mounted in here like that. It sits a little bit proud to the front of the cupboard, but it's not really a problem because you get some additional space as well. So that's the filtration system I'm going for. Well, that was the easy bit to do. Now I've got to do all the other bits, which are slightly more inconvenient and awkward shapes and need corners and curves cutting in them. So come and get the jigsaw out and get cracking to work. Right, there is going to be a bit of background noise today because there's a bit of plant over there digging a hole. But last week I drove about 450 miles to my friend who's got a wood shop, just so I could use his table saw. So I've got a whole variety of all my bits and pieces cut out. Oh, that's very overexposed. all labelled up with their sizes and where they go, and hopefully now it will just be the case of fitting them into the stud work and trimming them where they need to be, because some of the corners need to be trimmed off to fit. So it's finally time to get the shower tray frame in. These are going to be accessible from the outside, but this one isn't. So although this is a compression fit in and I'm sure it won't leak, I've also just filled the inside of this, well, the outside of the pipe here with CT1, which is the same adhesive I used to glue the tray down, just to make it really sturdy. Although it's compression, I was worried about over time with shaking the vehicle, it might shake loose and it won't be accessible to do anything maintenance to, or without cutting out a huge section. So yeah, let's get it fitted. So this was one of the issues I knew I was going to run into. I wasn't going to be able to get it straight again after these top bits are in, so I'm just going to loosen off these beams here. Hopefully that's going to give me the flexibility to turn it on itself and get it flat, sitting flat. Well, it's certainly not going anywhere, so I can now get this bit of stud work in, which I left out until the end, just because I didn't want to have to undo all of it to get the shower tray in. Right, that's the final bits of stud work done. Now time to start mounting the ply. Actually, I'm going to change something. I don't know if you can see here, but there's still a bit of flex, and I'd rather that wasn't there. I don't mind it in the centre, but I don't want it on this particular joint. So I'm going to take those out, and I'm going to put an extra stud work just at the bottom seam there, so that has something to push against. Right, that's in now. Time to start getting the other bits in. So this is my highly advanced scribing tool. The untrained eye, it might look like a pencil taped to a block of wood, and you would be right in thinking it was. Right, hopefully this should fit nicely. So I'm just marking out just roughly where the battens are, so when I'm screwing, I know where to screw into. So what I've just done there is I've just broken my only charging cable for my iPhone at the minute, which is on about 20%, and at 9 o'clock tonight, which is 4 hours time, I have a phone call with BBC Radio Berkshire talking about Adventure Live on the radio, and I broke my only charging cable and my phone's on low power. So it looks like I have to pack up for now and drive down to Lanark and get a new cable. Not the convenience I needed. I think I'm going to be really lazy and use the router and a flush trim bit just to take that bit off. I forgot how much mess that makes. It'd be a quick way of doing it, but quite the mess. So I haven't got any big panels left, so at the minute I'm just using up some of my smaller scraps, which for this bit is fine, as long as each part is supported, shouldn't really be a problem. So same as last time, I'm just going to use the trim bit router to basically flush it against this beam. fuss. So decided it'd be easier for me to do some small triangular pieces and try and cut one huge bit. So I'm going to go work on those. So it's a new day, and late last night I realised I forgot to do something, which was to insulate the waste pipe running the entire way underneath. So my heating system is only going to be about 1.2 kilowatts worth of sort of heat or energy heating the water, which isn't loads. So every part of it I'm thinking about sort of the thermal loss of the water running through the system. And that big waste pipe is quite a bit of thin plastic where I think thermal loss is going to be quite an issue. And I had bought some stuff to just some pipe insulation to wrap around it, and I forgot to do it. And it's not going to be that easy to get the tray out now because it's such a faff to get it in. But I've realised that if I undo this beam here and undo this one here, the whole tray should be able to slide out forwards. Oh, big ass spider was living in my pocket hole. Just had a little hobe down in there. Oh, he's now a new guest in the van. Well, that's the tray all nice and back in again, so now it's time to continue with the walls. So all the walls are in, and the PVC for the walling is arriving in a couple of days. So all I'm going to do is varnish all the wood inside just to give it a bit of waterproofing. I've just gone for an indoor varnish with a low VOC content. Some outdoor yacht varnishes have a high content, they're not particularly great if you use them indoors because they give up a lot of chemicals and bits and bobs like that. So I've picked indoor ones to use, which is better for your lungs. Using it inside. So I'm just going to crack on with that and get that all varnished up with a couple layers. So my 2mm PVC sheets are here. I've gone for the standard sort of 4 foot by 8 foot sheets. I'm going to use one of my spare insulation boards as a cutting mat. And now I've got the difficult task of cutting all of this to size. Because my shower room has no rectangular pieces, I can't just measure 2 dimensions and cut a square. Every single panel is slightly curved or comes in, so I need to figure out a solution to be able to accurately draw those over. So I've got no idea if this is going to work, because I want to do each side in one continuous panel, and no seams, and there is enough there to do that. I need to figure out how. So I think what I'm going to do is I've got a roll of this sort of brown paper. I'm going to cut them to size, and then I'm going to use some drawing pins to pin rectangles up, and then I'm going to trace out the edges and cut them and use that as a template. I had cardboard, but I find because cardboard's corrugated, it's not always the most accurate of line. Right, so I think I've outlined one piece so far. So I think I'm going to join it all together now with masking tape to make it one unit, and then, well, trace it out on the paper. Right, for the absolute life of me, I cannot get through the PVC very well with the Stanley, and I think it's going to take forever, and I'm not going to be able to get a straight enough edge. So I'm going to pop into town and I'm going to go buy some tin snips, because I think that should speed up the process. Right, I've returned and I've got a set of tin snips, and hopefully this will make easier work than the Stanley. So the way I'm going to glue this on is probably not what you used to see often done, but I think it's going to be overall, I'm going to work out well. So I am going to use some sealant, but you see most people use sealant and will put loads and loads of lines of sealant, and I see quite a lot of people still having issues with that. So I'm going to do a line of sealant around the edge, and then I'm going to use trim fix, so spray adhesive, over the entirety of the wood and the entirety of the back of the panel. The way I see it is that if you do lines of sealant, there's actually probably only like, I don't know, 20 to 30% or less of the actual PVC material is actually adhered to the surface you're putting it on. You know, it's only adhering where you've put the sealant, and that isn't 100% anywhere near. So put in trim fix, I'm going to have 100% of the surface 100% sealed on there. And then the reason I'm doing sealant around the edges is just a bit of extra waterproofing. Where's my example? This is my little test example I did the other day with one of the offcuts of the PVC I had, just with PVC on ply, and I cannot for the life of me get that off. So I think it's going to be a perfectly adequate way of gluing it on. I'm going to do each panel at a time, so I'm going to install a panel, I'm going to cut a panel, put it on, and then measure and template the next one. Right, let's get that done. Right, trim fix is really not good for your lungs, so I've got both the doors open and I'm just going to wear a mask since it's the height of COVID and I have a mask lying around. Don't know if this will do anything, but better than breathing it all in. Quick look. Excuse the messy sealant, but it's going well. After that sealant's cured, it rubs off the surface of the PVC where it's not really bonding anything together, and then I'll go around it with bathroom sealant. Well, I think it's time to peel all the protective glue off. So, not 100% finished yet. All these edges, although they are sealed between the butt joints, I'm going to put a nice neat layer of sealant over all of it, which will really finish it off. In a minute they're making it look a little bit terrible. I need to just get off this sort of over sealant from the CT1 I used, and then I'm going to put some bathroom sealant over the top of it. Should make all the corners look nice. Skipped ahead a little bit, but I've got the PVC trim in and it's all sealed up. Not going to lie, it took me a few attempts because I'm terrible at sealing up sealant. So skipped ahead a little bit, but I have also had to move house and I'm now working on the van in my parents' driveway. Generally the waterproofing of the shower room is done. I need to do a little bit more like these little bits of trim, but I need to figure out first how I'm going to mount the door. And I'm not going to lie, I had to redo the sealant because I'm terrible at applying sealant neatly, but one of my subscribers told me how to do it neatly and that's helped fantastically, so thank you very much. So yeah, I'm going to end that video here, and thank you very much for following the journey. Feel free to subscribe. If you do want to contact me, probably find my Instagram, which all the details for that are in the description, and I will see you next time. Cheers, bye.